What's up, guys? Rick from DFS On Demand here with the one and done preview for this week's Waste Management Open. Kind of got smoked last week, and I know a lot of us did. Woodland missing the cut. I had Justin Rose. He misses the cut. So I guess Jon Rahm was the play, finishing second. Rory would have been just fine. So we had the wrong studs last week, but this week at TPC Scottsdale, I think there's a lot of really good options. So let's jump over to the one and done tool here, and here is the expected value. If you've never seen this video before, I do a expected value. Basically, if you simulated this tournament 1,000 times, what's the average amount in dollars would each golfer earn over that period? And you can use what type of results do you want, right? So you can change the date. I'm going back to June of 2018. It's a little bit of a longer term type of output for me. You can go and just look at golfers' results from, hey, January 1st, 2019 or June of 2019 and just really make a smaller sample. You'll get a lot more volatile results when you do that. So I tend to go back to a little bit longer here, but let's look back at last year very quickly, because this tournament has some clear-cut golfers that are going to be used. Hideki Matsuyama, 883 picks last year. That is like a fifth of the field, right? Something like that. Actually, more than that. It's like 25% of the field. Rickie Fowler is going to be popular. Guys that have a lot of really good course history here. Webb Simpson, not here. Or I'm sorry, back up. Phil Mickelson, not here. 254 picks last year. He's gone. Jon Rahm was popular last year, nearly 400 picks, and Webb Simpson was very popular. Those are the only guys that were over 200. So where do we go now? Let me back up a little bit to go to the golfer profiles. And if you haven't seen it, I have added year in review ownership from 2019, and then I've got a running tally of 2020 ownership. So I can see Jon Rahm was used 415 times last week at the Farmers Insurance Open, which would have been like the second most used he would have been in 2019, right? So that's a pretty big number for Jon Rahm. If we go to Justin Thomas, I bet a lot of people used him at Sony, but let's go down and look. I don't remember. Oh no, only 127. Wow, the industry getting much smarter. 846 people had JT at the Sony last year, and only 127 had him at the Sony this year. Wow, good job, guys. Good on you. So where are we at for this week? The good news is I think there's a lot of really good plays. I assume a lot of people who have been saving Hideki or Rickie for a specific tournament are going to use them this week. I couldn't blame you for that. In reality, this tournament, the course history tends to be pretty sticky, meaning that the guys who have had success here in the past continue to have success. We see a lot of places. I mean, Torrey Pines is one of them. The course history is all over the place. Guys who win, then miss the cut, then finish top 5, then miss the cut again. It's a little more stable here. It's a wide open course, really good, like the better players, the skill sets tend to rise to the top here. So it's no surprise that year over year, we see a little bit of that stickiness. So if you're playing Rickie Fowler and you're playing Hideki, great. That's fine. I don't think we need to spend much time on that. I've bet Hideki. I don't think I'm going to use him in my one and done pool because I think there's other great options. There's a lot of really good kind of bounce back candidates. So like this strategy that we've kind of employed this year where I want to get a stud, I want to get like a top 5, top 6 guy in every single tournament, but I would prefer it to be the guy who, is going to be lesser owned, or at least what we think is going to be lesser owned. So a couple of names that come to mind for me, Justin Thomas. Justin Thomas is the second favorite. If you're planning on using him for a major, I understand it. I'm very high on JT, but I think he can win any golf tournament. He is single digits betting odds to win this golf tournament, and I just don't think anybody's going to play him. So when you look at what he did at the Sony, where he misses the cut, I mean, you can chalk that up to a lot of things, right? You could chalk that up to the fact that it was super windy. Oh, not Justin Harding. Super windy. Conditions were super terrible. You could also look at this and say, wow, he lost 4.4 strokes putting on the greens, which is his worst tournament since the Travelers and one of his worst tournaments of all time, or at least in the last 4 years. In fact, it would have been his third worst tournament in his last, I don't know what this is, 40 tournaments, 46 tournaments, something like that, the last couple of years. And remember, that was only 2 rounds. Strokes gained putting, that is a counting stat. So he lost nearly 4.5 strokes in only 2 rounds. It could have been much worse if he played 4, which is that's his worst 2-round total dating back like 4 years. So I could argue was still great off the tee, was still great on approaches. He's not going to putt like that again. And when you get real life JT like playing his best, obviously one of the best players in the world, obviously, I mean, he might be the best player in the world. And this is a pretty good spot to use him where I think a lot of people will stay away. We'll save him for a major. Additionally, who else do we have here? Gary Woodland. Let's go look at our boy Gary, who burned everybody last week. So let's pull up Gary and let's pull up his one and done profile. And by the way, quick plug, if you want access to only this tool, I think you should go get the full subscription to DFS on demand so you can flip back and forth like I'm doing. I think that's the way to play it. If you want access to only the one and done tool, it's $9 a year. Best bargain in the world. It's $1 a month, $9 a year. You get access to this tool. You can mess with all the data. You can figure it out. All good. Okay. There's a link. It's on right here. If you click join the team, can you see this? Join the team up here. It is on the far right-hand side, that membership option. Okay. Gary Woodland generally gets used pretty heavily to start the year. You can see last year in 2019, the most used he ever was the first week at the Sony Open. The second most used he ever was the next week at the Farmers. And then it kind of dwindles down after that. So this is like Gary Woodland's season, and he was massively, massively popular. In fact, he was more popular at this year's Farmers Insurance Open than he was at any point last year. 423 picks by owners, and he got you a goose egg. Hoochie mama. Usually what we see is the industry does not go back to a guy after he just burned everyone. Now, my argument for Mr. Woodland, if we go back to his player profile and we sort by date, kind of a similar situation to Justin Thomas. Really bad putting week. He still gained on approaches and off the tee, and he lost 2.2 strokes putting. Now, the thing with this is it's not even 2 rounds. This is 1 round, because at the Farmers, you play the North Course, you play the South Course. Only one of them is measured. So the 1 round that he played the South Course last week, he lost 2.2 strokes putting. Not a great way to make the cut. He goes home early, and I bet you a lot of people are just like, not really interested in playing Gary Woodland this week, despite the fact that he is a past champion here. He's won twice. Or I'm sorry. No, he hasn't. He won 2 years ago, and he finished in a tie for 7th last year. So, should be a pretty good fit for Gary, who can bomb it. He's accurate. He hits his approaches really, really well. He's won here. Like, I shouldn't have to describe the reasons to play Gary Woodland because he is such a good play for this week. The interesting part is the fact that, we have him in a situation where I don't know how many people are going to want to actually use him. And then I want to look at one more guy. I want to look at Webb here, because when the odds came out and I saw that he was the 3rd favorite, I simultaneously applauded and also like my brain exploded, because I'm a big Webb guy. I think he's way underrated in the world of golf, but to see his odds, his outright odds, be shorter than Rickie Fowler and Hideki Matsuyama, who have both won here and had great success here, I was pretty stunned to see it. Does that mean Vegas is finally understanding how good Webb is? Maybe. Do they know something we don't know and he's going to win this week? Maybe. I think that if you look at this, so Webb has, and we've talked about this a couple weeks ago, I believe. Webb has a couple of, like 5 times a year, Webb is a really good play in your one and done because he's going to be one of the top favorites in the field. this event is one of those 5 or 6, but it's probably like the least popular one he's going to be. So if we look back at his, pick distribution from last year, 230 picks so there were 5 times he was picked over 200 times. He might actually be the only guy that you can say that about, because, a lot of these other guys, they get burned, 800 people use Hideki in one spot and then just kind of spread out the rest of the way. I bet you, and I don't have any basis on this, Webb is the only guy who was picked 200 or more times in 5 different events. I am going to say that is true. I don't know if it is. But the point stands. There are really like 5 distinctive places you can use him. And this is one of them. So waste management, Honda last year, we saw it at Valspar, we saw it at the RBC Canadian, and we saw it at the Wyndham. The Wyndham is like the natural one that everyone will pick Webb. That's at the end of the year. Now, he's already been used 319 times. We'll see how people use him for the rest of the year. But like, if you're ever like, you're either using Webb now or you're using him at the Wyndham. Then you go back, okay, RBC Canadian, if he plays that again, fine. The waste management was the lowest owned of those 200 times he was picked. So I'm thinking that with the combination of Rickie and Hideki eating up so much of the ownership like they always do here, that if you're going to pivot away, go to the guy who is the third best odds to win this, at least opening odds. I don't know. I think Rickie has surpassed him at this point of the week. The third best opening odds, and also the guy you're not necessarily dying to use somewhere else. So the harm in using JT is you've burned JT. Like, that's the harm. For 2 points longer in the outright odds, or 3 points, Webb Simpson is sitting here, and he's a guy that like you're not really ever dying to use. You can plug him in, like he's super pliable. So I am probably in between Woodland. I'm definitely between Woodland, JT, and Webb Simpson. I will probably use Woodland in the first cut, the CBS Sports first cut one and done, because our other co-hosts there, they all used Woodland last week and got burned, and I kind of want to just like put it back in their face. So I might just go Woodland there. But in the Gups corner one and done, the big boy with 3,000 people in it, I'm looking at probably JT or Webb Simpson. I will probably not be a Hideki guy. I'll probably not be a Rickie guy. I'll let you guys. I mean, he's a great play. I'm just trying a new strategy this year where I'm just trying to be one page over, one step off of the most popular guy and one of the guys that I think can actually win the golf tournament. So let me know what you're doing. I have no idea. Let me know where you're at. It's tweet me, RickRunGood, at RickRunGood, or leave a comment below. I will talk to you guys soon. Best of luck this week.